Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Today in Web3. This is still our practice week. We're trying to work through operations, figure out what we're going to say on the show, figure out the format. But today we're just going to run through prices, daily news, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to tell you what's going on. As you all know, I've been the daily host for the Decrypt Daily, which turned to GM. We rebranded I think at the beginning of this year, and I was giving daily news in the crypto blockchain space. My last day with that podcast is going to be this Friday. And so we are shifting to a new show. That's this show, Today in Web3. We're going to do audio and video, shorts and TikToks, and we're going to try to expand this a little more. We're going to take this to be a more inclusive space for technology and anything that touches the internet, instead of just solely focusing on Bitcoin and blockchain. However, I must let you know, Bitcoin blockchain is one of my passions, something I've been involved in for the past, 7 years, 8 years. So we're not going to get away from that. But I just want to let you know that starting next week, we will be giving you daily news and growing out this channel, growing out this podcast, hopefully to be the best in the industry. If you guys listen to the podcast, you guys know that I was talking about Yuga Labs Bitcoin Ordinal NFT release. It's called TwelveFold. It is a 12 by 12 grid of NFTs. And they did this weird practice of an auction. And in this auction, it was almost like, the thing you should not do in the crypto space. And that's ask somebody to send you blindly their Bitcoin and in the hopes that you will get it back. And so their auction was like this. You made a bid. You send them Bitcoin. Say you bid 1 Bitcoin for the NFT. If that bid did not win, they said that they'll send you your Bitcoin back. If it did win, they'll keep your Bitcoin and then give you the NFT. However, this is like the normal scam. This is the Elon Musk, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, pick or insert influential, rich, or powerful person here. Send me 1 Bitcoin and I will send you back 2. Scheme, scam. And so how can you actually trust that this is legit? And so that's the whole problem with this, that this is the model of a traditional scam. Greg Solano, the co-founder of Yuga Labs, says he doesn't think that this is a problem because it is a trusted company. This only works because Yuga Labs is trusted. And there, I want to just focus on that word for 1 second. Trusted. The whole ethos of the space of Bitcoin, blockchain, the consensus mechanism is don't trust, verify. But now these companies, these monoliths, this $4 billion Yuga Labs NFT behemoth is saying, trust me, send me your Bitcoin. I'm going to say right now that this does, in fact, open the door for scammers to say, hey, we're a trusted company. Insert company here that we think we trust. Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, FTX, Alameda. Send me your 1 Bitcoin. I promise you, you'll get it back or you'll get your NFT. The fact that he doesn't see that this is an issue is, in fact, an issue. Another thing that's on our radar is that Binance US is now 1 step closer to snapping up Voyager Digital's assets. As you guys know, Voyager Digital, they went bankrupt. Binance.us wants to buy those assets. Well, the SEC objected to that purchase. And the judge was like, I don't think so. We're going to go through with it. But if you, SEC, could give me a good reason within 24 hours, I will consider it. Well, 24 hours later, the judge in this case is unconvinced. And he said largely because the SEC would not take an official position on the matter and only commit to saying that its staff at the SEC believe that Voyager and Binance may be violating security laws. So Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, will not take a position. He will not say that the SEC takes a position. They're only saying, and I think this is pretty weak, he's only saying that the SEC, some of their staff, maybe think it's a security. I can see why the judge is allowing this to continue. Okay, enough rambling from me. Let's get into those crypto prices.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
I'm recording this at 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday, March 8th. We have Bitcoin sitting at $22,125, down 1% in 24, or down 6.8% in 7. Ethereum's at $1,558. Pretty much even in 24, but down 6% in 7. Tether's number 3, Binance is at $292, up 1.5%. And USDC is number 5. Rounding off the top 10, we have XRP, Cardano, Doge, Matic, and Binance.us. The total market cap is just sitting $11 billion above $1 trillion. That means if we go down $12 billion, we're going to be under $1 trillion. It's sitting at 1.011 trillion. We have a BTC dominance of 42.2 and an ETH dominance of 18.9. And in some markets news, the Blur model. You guys know Blur. Remember, Blur is this new NFT marketplace that's competing with OpenSea. And they had this model for incentivizing NFT sales. And it's paying off. And this is why Tensor got $3 million in funding. Tensor is a previously relatively small contender in the Solana NFT marketplace. And it is quickly capturing market share. And this is because they're taking a page out of the Blur playbook by giving people NFT royalty or loyalty rewards. And it's just launched its season 1 airdrop for these NFTs. It finished season 1 and now it's gearing up for its season 2, allowing these NFT collectors and these pro traders the ability to get these NFT drops. Now that's dependent, of course, of how much they trade. And let's take a look at Cathie Woods and that hole she has in her pocket where money fell out. But what's filling up that pocket, even though there's a hole in it, the physics, don't talk about what's the physics, but let's talk about what's filling that hole. And that hole is being filled by Coinbase and Robinhood stock. Looks like they picked up around $3.44 million worth of Coinbase stock, or 47,568 shares, and $9.97 million in Robinhood stock, or 1.06 million shares. Now, this is one of my trades of the century. I aped into Robinhood right after their IPO. It went down. I sold it with a $1,000 loss. And if I didn't, it would have been about a $10,000 loss. So I'm super happy that I sold it. But what does Cathie Wood and Ark Invest know that we don't? Why is she going in and buying $10 million off of a Robinhood stock, which we know that a lot of their revenue and a lot of their profits come from crypto? And crypto is having a winter right now. So what does she know that we don't? I'm waiting to see. Moving into our daily news, our headlines, our bread and butter. This is why we're here. Senator Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts. He chaired the session of the Committee on Environmental and Public Works yesterday. And he's focusing on the energy uses of Bitcoin mining. He says that the Bitcoin mining industry deserves the spotlight. He said it's grown explosively in the United States over the past 2 years. It's extremely energy intensive, and we've seen it harm the general public while enabling the creation of heavily concentrated wealth in our country. Let me say that again because I think that's just absurd, and it's horribly, laughably, anyway, it's laughably ironic. He said, we've seen it, Bitcoin mining, harm the general public while enabling the creation of heavily concentrated wealth in our country. Do you see how interesting that is? That the senator, a sitting senator in our Congress, is talking about Bitcoin money, or is talking about Bitcoin mining being the cause of concentrated wealth in our country. Not policy from Congress, not policy from the Senate, not taxation, not corporate, structures and stock buybacks and any kind of other practices of the banking industry. No, it's Bitcoin mining. Hilariously ironic that he says that. Well, not all people in Congress agree. Senator Pete Ricketts, a Republican from Nebraska, says that Washington should not be picking winners and losers. Also commented that large data centers use more energy than Bitcoin by far, and they're okay. So what does Jack Dorsey, what does he think about all this mining talk, Bitcoin mining talk in the environment? Probably doesn't really care or think too much about it because his company Block thinks it and its developers can build better Bitcoin mining rigs. And that's why they are considering building a mining development kit or an MDK. The company hopes to see developers integrate mining into heating solutions, off-grid mining, home mining, and intermittent power applications. Block is also designing its own semiconductor chips to focus on Bitcoin mining, ASIC chips. So not only are they doubling down on mining development kits, they want to see it integrated into home, retail, on and off grid mining, heating solutions, because I don't really know how that would work, just because Bitcoin miners get off a lot of heat. So you could put it in your basement, mine Bitcoin, and heat your house. I mean, that'd be a very loud way to heat your house. But it looks like he is doubling down and doesn't care about this conversation that Congress is having. Are you an old user of Mt. Gox? And now if you're new to the space, you came in the past couple of years, you might not know what Mt. Gox is. If you came in 14, 15, 16, 17, it was almost daily news talking about what happened with Mt. Gox. It's still news about what's happening with Mt. Gox. But what happened was in early 2014, the exchange filed for bankruptcy. And after suffering a loss of 850,000 Bitcoin, 750,000 of those Bitcoin were customers. 100,000 of those Bitcoin were theirs. Altogether, that amounted to around a $480 million loss. How much is it today? $19 billion. $19 billion. Now you can see why a lot of people want their Bitcoin back. If you can find it, they want it. And if you had money or Bitcoin lost in this, you have until Friday to register with the claims repayment under the rehabilitation plan. This plan was first launched last September. The original deadline was January 10th, but it was extended. So again, until Friday. And you're going to have the option to tell them how you want your money back. You can get it as a lump sum, in cryptocurrency, bank remittance, or remittance through a money transfer service. I'm assuming something like Western Union. This rehabilitation proposal promised to remunerate customers about 90% of the assets owed. And finally today, do you remember Grayscale? They tried many times to launch a Bitcoin spot ETF. There are Bitcoin futures ETFs out there, but there's no spot Bitcoin ETF. And the SEC has turned down Grayscale multiple times, and multiple companies, including, as we just were speaking about, Ark Investment. They're trying to do a ETF as well. But the SEC turned down Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF, and Grayscale said, we really don't know why you're doing this. There's a future Bitcoin ETF. We should be able to have a spot Bitcoin ETF. And so they're suing the SEC. And the judges are skeptical. They're squinty-eyed at the reasoning of the SEC. They say they're looking at it and they're scratching their head and saying, why? Why are you not letting this happen? A core element of the SEC's argument is that Grayscale's application lacked any data necessary to confidently determine whether fraud and manipulation in the stock market impacts futures markets in the same way. The judge in the case, one of the judges of the three judges in the case, said it seems like there's quite a bit of information out there, since there is a futures Bitcoin ETF out there, and we see how it's interacting with the markets. He says that there's quite a bit of information out there of how these markets work together, adding that the commission really needs to explain how it understands the relationship between Bitcoin futures and spot price of Bitcoin. Basically saying that we have the info. Why are you just not getting the info and making the determination yourself? We already understand how it works. So since we are looking at that, the judge is saying we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. SEC, what do you think the relationship is? What should we be looking at? Are we seeing two different things? And so that's what they're trying to do here. Grayscale's now counsel is a U.S. Solicitor General, former U.S. Solicitor General, and said that the definition of this decision that the SEC made is arbitrary, and argues that the Grayscale spot market ETF would pose the same risk as having Bitcoin right now or the futures ETF right now. No difference. Anyway, we'll see how this rolls out. We'll see how this plays out. And hopefully, Grayscale would win this case. Now, the only thing I don't know, I'm not a lawyer or a judge or work for the SEC. If Grayscale wins this case, do we get a spot Bitcoin ETF? I sure as hell hope so. And that was our show today. That was our news. Look, please subscribe and share and let everybody know that I'm going to be doing this from now on. Right now, I'm still doing my daily show with Decrypt. This is going to be a new thing starting full-time on Monday. And like I said, we're just trying to work out the bugs. So feel free to send me an email at bookings@todayinweb3.com. Let me know what you think, how we can make this different, what we can add to it, how I can make the studio better, how I can make the presentation better. But the biggest thing is you communicate. Send me an email, leave me a comment, subscribe, share, and let's build this together, because that is what blockchain and Web3 is all about. It's about interoperability. It's about interactions with each other. It's not about a walled garden or a siloed company. It's about us communicating, building, and thriving. We'll see you tomorrow.